Alright, so I'm starting this in a parking garage with no script. You ready? Let's go. Let's start with the latest situation. And for lack of a better term, we'll call this church um, Littlefoot Missionary Baptist Church in um, Dilly, Alabama. How about that? Okay, so um, I was. This story starts with a firing from two churches, same day. That's another episode. But I was so done and over with the black church. I had no desire to play anymore. I wanted to start something new. You know, I've been playing in church for well over 37 years, I think. Yeah. Um, and yeah, in my mind, I want to start doing something new, but um, and that would be streaming. You know, actually stream, and it's not streaming is not new for me. You know, so but I was going to do, I wanted to start doing that, so had opportunity. Excuse me, I'm just not getting my. Anyway, um, so they were. Um, okay, where was I at? Let me come back. Yeah, so I wasn't looking for nowhere to play, and so I started working with this church with another church, all right, in another city doing their media. Now I filled in at this particular church. Oh, if you watching this, you know who it is. If you go to this church, you know who it is. If you know me and you know if you close to me, you know who I'm talking about. Um, but yeah, I ended up filling in some kind of way. I ended up filling in. Um, Word had got out that I wasn't playing nowhere, but I didn't go to church for about a month and a half, almost 2 months. I didn't want I just didn't want to go. I went on sabbatical, and so but I went back, and it was right before Halloween. I filled in, and that whole part of the situation was funny as I don't know what to, and I may have to come back and reference this, but so I went and I played, and it was an interesting situation. You know, got my money, and it went on. You know, and so the pastor went to trying to see what it would take to get me to come play for him, and I'm like, evidently you guys must don't know that I don't want to play. I have no desire to play, not for real. But um, if you give me 750 a Sunday, I'll reconsider. His first thing was, I don't think that they'll do that. And I'm like, well, whoop de doo. I already knew that. And so then he goes to calling me like he wants to negotiate something. You know, like, like, and I'm talking about very, very. he acted like he wanted to negotiate, but very slowly. Wow. And then the way the Lord spoke to me today. Thank you, Lord. Ooh, that's another whole talk show. But he tells me they're not gonna be able to do that. But he said, hey, you know, I can get you to, come here, and we can give you 4, and and you go. I got a buddy up the road that's looking for somebody. I can put you in contact with him, man. He probably give you about 375. Now he talking for the dude, right? So I'm like, nah, I'm good. But he keeps after me. And so I say, because I'm like, I got this other situation, right? So I'm like, and I know what I'm getting there. And I know what I want to be making right now per week, while I'm in this transition. So this dude gonna tell me, um, they can't even do the 5. All they can do is the 4. What they said up front, right? So then fast forward, after I said, you know what, because it would be an opportunity to have a spot to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking fourth dimensionally. I'm thinking having access to the church during the week, to where I can come in and do some of the other stuff that I want to do. Like, I'm not gonna tell you none of them, but it was all beneficial stuff not only to their ministry but to my ministry, right? And so, but now I after 2 weeks after I am leaving a lot of stuff out. I'm leaving a lot of stuff out. And I may have to come back and talk about these meetings that I had with them. Yeah. So fast forward, um, I get this check at the church, and inside of the envelope is a W-9 where he said, I need you to fill this out. And so I looked at it. I said, all right, but then I thought about it. I said, wait a minute. So if you want me to do a W-9, that means that you filing taxes, or it's like you're reporting what you're paying. And so I'm like, So if I do this, I'm putting myself at risk of being back in trouble with the IRS. Student loans was enough for me, man. I don't want that smoke. You feel me? And so, um, yeah, so I'm like, man, and it's real ironic that you would give me that, or that you would let me know that that's what you're doing after I agree to what you're saying by way of pay, right? So, um, man, to say that I was heated is an understatement. But damn, bro, let's just say that you know I in this season I'm not pulling punches. I'm not. And so with that being said, when I throw a punch, I'm punching not at the person. I'm punching 6 inches behind them. That's how much I'm not pulling punches. And so, needless to say, with some of the text interchanges that he and I had, you know, I'm gonna give you an example. And so, if he sees this, he knows who he is. He knows who he is. Shame on you for not knowing the word. Shame on you for being a pastor and not knowing the word. Shame on you for acting like you this great theologian, right? And I sent to you 1 Thessalonians 5:22. And you demonstrated to me that you have a zeal, but not according to knowledge. When you said that, we ain't doing no evil, and I'm like, Negro, did I say you was doing evil? I said that you need to abstain from all appearances of evil. So what you're doing and the way that you're doing it gives the appearance of underhanded manipulation, my friend. And so I said all that to say this. To my young musicians, I want you to understand this. You go in and play at churches at your own peril. Make sure that you're covered before you go up in there. Because if you're not, even if you are, going into one of our churches talking about playing, it's not for the weak. It's not for the weak. And for you churches that's doing these W-9s and 1099s on people, if you're not paying them a decent wage, that's bull. Pay them in cash. I'm just saying, man. And I would just say, pay them right, and figure out how to just get that money back. Write it off. If you if you're doing stuff where you're reporting, come on, man. We gotta do better. We gotta do better. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I left out. Y'all, I'm dealing with this. I have a condition. It's called CVS, cyclic vomiting syndrome, and it kicks in every now and then. So I'm coming off of a bout, and I'm weak. So I just ate something for the first time, some real food besides like some almonds or something. So I had some hibachi that I didn't eat a lot of. I drunk all the soup, and then I ate a little bit of the rice and the steak. But yeah, that's the end of this particular story about Littlefoot Baptist Church in Dillawa Dilly. And yeah, we need to stop playing big when Lil have us in the headlock. I'm serious, man. I'm serious. I'm serious. And especially when you don't know who you're dealing with. Have I said enough? I believe I have. I want to talk to 15 minutes though. I want it to be 15 minutes. 15 minutes. 15. Come on. Yeah, so this is part one. This is part one. So Gemini, get this and do with it what you will. It's not necessarily a furnace drop per se, but